Hello and welcome back to JVCTR. For those of you who are new, my name is Johnny and today we've got something a little bit different. So today I'm on a day out with the Fiat Automotive Group, who also own Jeep and Alfa and all sorts. And in this video we're covering the Jeep Wrangler. Yes, so as you can see behind me, we have a Jeep Wrangler Sahara producing around about 250 horsepower. Now, if I'm honest, I'm no Jeep expert, but I've always quite liked them. So when I was given the opportunity to drive one and have a look around, then I thought, yeah, why not? So let's have a look around the car. So if we come around the side, you can see that we have some rather lovely 5-spoke wheels, which I actually really like. I think they suit this car and this colour really well. Down the side you've got all your logos and stuff, and obviously that one being most important because this is the Sahara edition. And if we open this door and take a look inside, as you can see on this particular model, we've got sort of like a creamy coloured leather, which is quite nice, and the leather feels of pretty good quality, to be honest. The dash is clean, kind of pretty sort of off-roady, you know, some real angular edges. It's perfectly flat pretty much. You've got a little touchscreen in the middle, which is, you know, reasonably responsive from what I've seen. We'll have a bit more of a look about a bit later. But otherwise, it's actually a really nice place to be in here, and it feels quite premium. Now, I'm not too sure how much you can see, but the roof in this car is kind of a party piece, really. So you can take off these two sections here above the driver and the passenger, sort of individually. And then if you want the whole lot off, you can take the whole roof off right the way back, and then it's sort of like a convertible. The only problem with that is that there's nowhere to store it in the car. So if you're going to do that, you kind of need to sort of put it in a garage and then hope it doesn't rain. But the biggest advantage by far of having that removable roof that I've seen on this far is how cool the rear tail is. I mean, you've got a nice little door here, excuse my rubbish in the back, and then you've also got this sort of like split roof here thing, which is quite cool. I like that a lot, and I also like the fact that the roof doesn't feel like a removable roof. This feels pretty like part of the car, and then obviously you have the option of removing it too. I like that. It's awesome. And with that, I guess we should actually have a stab at driving this thing. So we're going to head up that massive hill up there, and I'll see you at the top. Okay, so in order to climb this hill, we need to put it into 4-wheel drive low range, and then put it into drive, handbrake it off, and it should just creep up this hill, hopefully. We'll see how we go. It looks as though we've been joined by the Wrangler Rubicon. Man, this is cool. One thing I would say is that the auto box for off-roading, bloody awesome. This thing is seriously capable. We are the people of tomorrow. We stand together, raise our hands up higher, higher. Okay, so we've just come over the top of the hill, and as you can see, we're going rather slowly, and that's because we're in low range. Now, in order to take it out of low range, we need to stop. So I'll pull over, let this car that I'm holding up past, and then we'll see if we can take it out of low range. There you go. See you later, Mr. Mini. Right then, so we put it into park. We move this little stick into neutral. So now we are in 4-wheel drive automatic, which should be good for the road, I hope. There is another alternative to have just 2-wheel drive, I believe it is, 2H, whatever that means. But we'll leave it in 4H auto for the moment, and we'll see how we get on. So let's go. And immediately that feels a whole lot more drivable for the road. Now, if you talk about what powers this thing, you've got an inline 4-cylinder petrol unit producing around about 250 horsepower. Now that is mated to an 8-speed automatic gearbox, and as we saw on the hill today, it's pretty torquey, and actually it works really well. On the road, it's quick. You would not believe a car of this size and a car that's been created for the purpose of going off-road would be so good on the actual road. To give you an idea of how fast this is, I have actually got my draggy with me, so let me set up the draggy and I'll do a couple of 30 to 70 runs. As you know, that is my favourite metric, as it removes traction and kind of driver skill as well, and that really just measures the car. So we'll have a crack at that in a second. Now, in terms of handling, should we say, it's not brilliant. It's okay. It tends to sort of slide around a little bit at the rear if you start to push it on the road. But as I say, it's not what this car's for. It's really not what this car is for. It's comfy, which is one real big plus point for an off-roader. It feels big, but I think that's kind of the appeal. And in actual fact, it's not actually that big for an off-roader. It's pretty dinky, especially this little 2-door version. And weirdly, it's quite chuckable. It is great fun just to sort of throw around, even on the road. It's cool, despite not being race car-y. It's still cool. So there you have it. There are my thoughts on the Jeep Sahara Wrangler, and I've got to admit, I bloody love this thing. It's the first experience I've had of being in a Jeep, and yeah, I want one, if I'm completely honest. Now, in terms of draggy times, I know that people love 0 to 60s and that kind of stuff. As I mentioned, I've done 30 to 70, and although it's not designed for drag racing or anything like this achieved a fairly respectable 6.35 seconds, which I'll put up on there. Now, that was on a perfectly valid run. It was pretty much flat. So actually, in terms of day-to-day, you've got the performance, the comfort, and then if you fancy going off-roading, it will do that too. So I think this thing is cool. If I'm going to be picky and try and find some negatives in this thing, it's at high speed. It can be a bit windy, a bit wind noisy, and that's because of the removable roof. But other than that, and fuel economy. It averages around about 23-24 mpg, which is not great. But other than that, this thing is bloody awesome, and I really want one. So with that, we'll leave it there. If you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of me and other car content, then please feel free to subscribe. There goes a sight from my soul.